Welcome to another edition of Economic Forum where we discuss various issues affecting our economy in Zimbabwe. Today we would like to talk about careers, that is career guidance, and we've invited into the studio a mentor, a career guidance mentor who has been talking to high school students about what we would call soft skills, which are over and above what they are taught in class. And this is Ngoni Patton Msendo. He's a lawyer in his day-to-day life, but he also finds time to visit different high schools in order to talk to students or to learners about their future, about how to prepare their future. Ngoni, welcome to Economic Forum.
Thank you so much.
Yes. You did map out, some time ago when I met you, that there are certain things that I feel are missing when learners come out of school. Yes, they will be having very high marks, but they're not really prepared for the world out there, especially the world of work. Can you tell us first of all about your mapping, what it is that led you to come into this business of actually mentoring learners in career guidance?
Thank you so much. We realized that there was quite a gap between students who are at colleges or who are finishing college and what the society or the community wants. We had academically gifted people, but who were not very relevant and useful in the industry. There was a need to bridge a certain gap between what was taught at school versus what was required in industry. And one of the key things that we discovered was lacking were soft skills, those that are not taught in the classroom. The culturalization of the student from being a university or college student to being a productive player in the industry.
Is this what you found at all types of schools, since they are different, or you also found others having taught their learners about some of these soft skills? For instance, away from exam classes and so forth, a teacher would just advise his or her students about what life is like out there.
Well, I would say there were differences depending type of schools. I have been in some very rural schools, and the students they only know 2 or 3 careers. Everyone would want to be a teacher, a soldier, or a nurse. You go to some mission schools, there's a different level of exposure there. When you go to the private schools, there is way more exposure there, which wasn't there in the non-ATS schools. And so I'd say that it was a different levels of exposure. There was also what I'd say career guidance sessions in some schools. Like I was at Tangambra High School in Mitari. In career guidance sessions, we would have a little bit of it. But unfortunately, at times we were having unexposed teachers in certain areas teaching us about careers, which unfortunately didn't take us far.
Yes, that's a very important point. Unexposed teachers teaching learners about careers. Is it something that you are also addressing along the way as you did your mapping first, so that whatever you impart to the learners is not undone as soon as you have left the gates of the schools?
Definitely. One of our major areas of focus is to develop the mind, to have the capacity to think, the hunger and the appetite for information and skills. And then a person can discover what they want, who they want to be, and pursue that, more than just giving a certain type of information, which can become irrelevant over time. But it is the skill which we think is more important than just the information, because the skill helps them and empowers them for life.
What I've noticed nowadays, I think society is the one which has really driven the youngsters as well as parents to that, is that what is important is to actually have very, very high points, to score very high points, than to have that knowledge.
Yes, we have come across that, especially in many mission schools, where it appears we are coming up with more of academic machines, people who need to get 20, 25, 30 points at A level. And all the focus is on reproducing the syllabus for 4 or 5 subjects. But then there is no complementing skills that are necessary to make one relevant and useful in life. So someone is very good academically, but there are no personal or interpersonal skills. There's a terrible attitude which they have. They are unable to present themselves or package themselves in such a way that industry can take them in. And some are just working so that they become intelligent employees. They are doing certain subjects at the high school because they want to be a chartered accountant, a lawyer, or a medical doctor. So part of our efforts are to try and expose the minds to make them realize that our world is changing very fast and many things are happening that make us need to look at life in a more broader way without limiting or constraining ourselves.
I did mention, Ngoni, to begin with, that probably they were driven to that by society because the world of work would be looking at that. They will look at your certificate and not bother about even looking at other aptitudes that you have. So as a result, it then cascades back to the schools that this is what is important. Is this not what you also found out in your mapping?
It is very true. The society has played a big part. But what has also happened is we are living in what we call a VUCA world, volatile, unstable, complex, and ambiguous. It is this very same society that has become complex, that has become volatile, that has become ambiguous. So as a result, sometimes the young people get different signals, mixed signals, and they still follow what they learned from their parents or from their elders, so that they become perfectly prepared for a world which is no longer existing. So
perfectly prepared for a world that is no longer existing. That's quite a mouthful. It needs to be unpacked, Ngoni. That's Ngoni Patoni Porepore Msendo, who is our guest today. He's a lawyer in his everyday life, but he is also taking time to go around different high schools, imparting what we would call soft skills, those which would be merged with the academic education that is got in schools, as well as being ready for the society as it changes. Join us in the second segment. Welcome to the second segment of Economic Forum, where today we are discussing career guidance as well as soft skills that are very important, especially for students as they go out into the world of work. And we've invited Ngoni Patoni Msendo, who goes around different schools imparting that kind of knowledge from what he has also learnt in the world, although in his day-to-day work he practices as a lawyer. And now back to you, Ngoni. Let's now look at the career planning itself, what it is that one has to plan, for the career. We know here you have yourself, you have your parents, you have your educators, and you have society. Take us through career planning.
firstly, we encourage a person to understand himself or herself. What type of a person are you? Are you that type of a person who is mathematically gifted or scientifically gifted? So understanding yourself, understanding your strengths, understanding your weaknesses helps you in terms of deciding and defining the course of your life.
It sounds very simple, Ngoni, but what is the template? How do you understand yourself? You're a young person, you are still at high school, and someone is saying you should understand yourself. How do you do that?
When we do these programs, we use different templates. Sometimes we use what we call the Johari template, where you see your blind spots and those that are not blind, things that you are alive to, that you are not alive to. Or we do the normal one, SWOT analysis, understanding your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What we then try to focus on is for a person to be able to identify what is a strength or what is an opportunity, and then to apply it in a person's life. Once that is done, it becomes easier going forward. We then try to make it clear in understanding yourself that the motivation for a career is not necessarily the availability of jobs or the availability of remuneration later on. I will give an example. I was at university in 1996 when they just introduced tourism and hospitality. And people were running so much after that. And our crew graduated 2001, 2002. That was when our tourism was like on a downhill. So people ended up doing different things from what they thought they were going to do. So the motivation,
almost becoming ashamed of themselves.
exactly. So the motivation has to be beyond the availability of jobs or the potential remuneration or the prestige associated with it, but finding your own purpose and pursuing your purpose within your career.
But Singoni, you know, the experience, especially that they have of the parents, is that as soon as you finished your medical degree or your law degree, like yourself, you know, or even way back, as soon as you finished your Form 4, your Form 6, you'd get a good job and be able, you know, maybe to buy a car and if you get a house in Luveve or Glenore and so forth. But these guys, you know, when they see that coming slowly, this is where they are dampened in their spirits.
That's very true. And as I've said earlier, this is a VUCA world. We never imagined, as we saw in the recent year or two, that University of Zimbabwe graduates would struggle to get a job as a medical doctor in Zimbabwe. We are now having the noble professions not having openings for recent graduates.
Which ones are those noble professions? Does that include us journalists?
Mostly us lawyers, and then probably journalists. But those professions which society used to hold in high esteem. But now, because of the changes in the world, also thanks to COVID, some careers have become more useful and relevant now than they were before. For example, IT is now even more important. Media is now even more important since a lot of things are now being done online. So in our approach, we want young people to appreciate that they have to be versatile. So when you understand yourself, you are able to be versatile and adapt to different circumstances and still remain a successful career person in spite of the different turbulent times we may go through.
At times, one word that people find very difficult to define is skill. When you say John has got a skill, what do you mean? Because when I come to you, I start telling you where I went to, what I did, and this and that. But then at the end of the day, you ask, but what is your skill? And people struggle to answer that question. Is this something that you also look into?
Yes, definitely. We really are keen on people mastering skills more than just getting information, because the skill is the capacity to do something. Skill is, if you were to coin a word, is the gonability, that which makes you able to do or perform a certain task.
Well, like the skill of inventing a new dictionary, coming up with words like gonability, that's a new skill that you have. And what else, Ngoni?
So for us, that is the skill, the capacity, the ability to perform a task, to do or not do something depending with what one has to do. Information is just what you get to know. These are the facts. And information keeps changing. But the skill is the ability. And if you are able to change your approach or your strategy depending on the different situations, then your skill is very relevant.
But what you are saying, Ngoni, is something that you can dream about or you can discuss with your friends and agree. But the moment you go home and say, this is what I want to do, your parents will have none of it. I'm saying so from experience, because here and there, I may have turned down my own children when they told me they wanted to do 1, 2, and 3. And I actually insisted, or as parents, we insisted that, no, don't do that, do this.
That's very true. Our approach actually has become three-pronged. 1, we deal with the young people. 2, we deal with the parents. 3, we deal with the educators. As parents and educators who are adults, we should be able to help the children, our students, to understand and identify their skills and be willing to release them to pursue their strengths, to pursue their passions and desires, and to appreciate that because of the changes in the world, we can no longer hold on to our conventional mindsets of what was or what is supposed to be a correct career.
Ngoni Patton Msendo, who is a career guidance mentor, talking to us today here on Economic Forum about some of the soft skills that are essential to learners in order to prepare them for the world of work in future. And Ngoni is trying to explain what he and his partners are doing in order to improve that. Join us in the third and final segment of Economic Forum. Welcome to the third and final segment of Economic Forum, where we discuss various issues affecting our economy. And today we are discussing career guidance, how learners can be assisted to be prepared for the world of work. The schools do prepare them to pass examinations, to learn different things, but soft skills are sometimes missing in some of the schools. As a result, that creates a lot of burdens on the students when they look for employment. Ngoni, one of the things, even when people are in employment, for them to be effective and so forth, is reading. I'm in journalism, I'm in the media, but I hardly read books about the media, what is happening in the media, what are the bills that are before parliament, what are the papers saying, what is the media like in neighboring countries, overseas and so forth, what changes can we expect? Do you think Zimbabweans generally read around their profession?
Well, reading, we find it as a very, very key component in a person's personal and career development. Because once you read, you become exposed to the world around you, you become exposed to the opportunities available, platforms that you can get onto, and other experiences from other places in the world. Now we're living in a global village. Things that happen in the United States of America can affect us. Things that happen in China can affect us. And in Zimbabwe, I would say the reading culture, in my own assessment, it's something that has not been where it can be. Our reading culture currently, it's more, if you want Zimbabweans to read something, put it on social media, they can read. But the conventional reading books and the like, I think it's not as much.
But even on social media, you can tell someone is just responding to something that they did not understand. Maybe they read the first sentence and straight away draw an opinion. That's another problem that we have. But what you are stressing here, Ngoni, is that let's read. Even outside examinations, it's important to read. Is this something that you stress to parents as well as teachers?
Yes, definitely. We stress reading, not just within your career line, but broad reading. I may not be a science person, but it's important for me to read around that area and see how science may actually be shaping my legal career, and to understand how technology, which I'm not an IT expert, it may be affecting. And sometimes we become irrelevant because we did not read and did not see how things were shaping up over time. We were just caught up and just too late.
In fact, to give an example, in the world of work, you're in a boardroom and you've got your finance person, you've got your legal person, you've got your corporate affairs person. You know, if you're someone who reads and when they're making their presentations, there are a number of questions that you can raise out of the knowledge that you are getting out there, rather than just saying, we've got Ngoni here, our expert, he's going to be presenting us. Yet there are other things that Ngoni is not aware of because he's not reading. Is this one of the things that you may have observed and that you are trying to address, and how?
Definitely. Reading makes you prepared, and you make presentations, you make contributions that are well reasoned, that are intelligent, because you are one who has read. And generally, people tend to respect more someone who has got facts and figures in what they speak, because they have knowledge of what they are saying. People can't challenge because they don't read, they don't know. They don't even know whether the facts and figures are giving them are true or not. And when we read, we become more balanced. We become mentally apt in terms of dealing with issues or things that we have.
Things that I've noticed is someone who has also had the opportunity to be involved in recruitment and selection is when you ask for, for an application letter, a motivation letter, and a CV, you find people struggling and just bringing you one thing. Now, take us through that, Ngoni. What is it that you teach these youngsters so that they don't disappoint?
Yes, some of the soft skills which our young people must learn are preparing for an interview, preparing a CV, and putting your papers in order so that you can make a good impression. If it is an opportunity you want, you get it. University of Zimbabwe currently, they no longer take medical students just from high school without an interview which they must pass. So we do train and we do teach the importance of correct CV writing, and we do get some HR experts who then come and assist in making our young people appreciate what is it that is necessary in a CV. Sometimes we make our CV unnecessarily long and boring for recruiters to go through. So it is necessary for the young ones to learn, and we teach the importance of CV writing, preparing for an interview, knowing what to say when you are asked, and not going off tangent when you are asked a question in an interview.
How about those who are then pushed into jobs because of the demand of places at centers of higher learning, where you want to be a lawyer, and unfortunately, because they are only taking a few, the Ngonis have made it and so forth, and you are told that, well, the next subjects that are still available are Shona, Ndebele, Divinity, French, and so forth, and you have to go into that, and you have to live with that for the next 4 years. How do you deal with that?
It always happens. You will always have people who are in areas that they never wanted originally. And our training is do the best in where you are positioned at that time. Because our world is now very versatile, things change. That which you are doing can make you very useful in the program that you want. I've seen some people who have done 1 degree, but because they really wanted another career, they then still moved on after they finished. But for the time that you are doing that program, do it with all your heart. You may actually find yourself that you love it more than what you initially thought was.
I always laugh when I read some of your posts, Ngoni, that some of us, were the best points in Shona, Divinity, and so forth. We managed to go to law school and we're defending doctors, engineers, and so forth. It's something you are proud of.
Well, I really love my career and my profession.
Never mind what you did at A-level.
Yes, what we did at A-level developed our minds, developed us to be able to function properly in what we are doing now. So it was never thrown away.
Ngoni Pationi Porepore Msondo, a lawyer by profession but also a career guidance mentor. I would like to thank you very much for coming to Economic Forum.
Thank you so much.
Yes, that was Ngoni with all those facts and all those points to consider when you are talking career guidance and mentorship. And that's addressed to students, to parents, to employers, and all those who care about learning as well as the future. So from the production crew of Economic Forum, I remind you again to get in touch with us on the numbers that are showing on your screen, and to remember to watch past episodes on Economic Forum Zimbabwe on YouTube. Until next time, this is your host, John Masuku.